On our third wedding anniversary, my wife's first love came back from abroad. In front of everyone, he took out a piece of sexy lingerie and handed it to my wife. "I think you were most charming when you wore this." Amid the laughter of the crowd, my wife wasn't angry at all. Instead, she looked bashful. "Well, it depends on who I'm wearing it for." She turned to look at me, her eyes full of mockery. I'm too lazy to please a man like him who has no sense of romance. Looking at the provocative gaze of her first love, I smiled slightly, raised my glass to him, and then turned and left. But my wife panicked. In the private room, Ethan took a step forward. "Mia, I've prepared a big gift for you. This time, I'm back in the country." Amid the jeers of the crowd, Ethan opened the box in his hand. A piece of hollow-laced sexy lingerie lay quietly in the box. Just one glance, and Mia's face turned a shy red. The crowd cheered and whistled. Ethan looked at me provocatively. "Lucas, this gift is to enhance the harmony of your married life. You wouldn't mind, would you?" Before I could say anything, Mia snorted disdainfully. He's just a bumpkin. He doesn't know anything about romance." The crowd all looked at me teasingly. Everyone knew that in this relationship I had always been Mia's lapdog. No matter the occasion, she could trample on my self-esteem at will. Just as everyone was waiting to see me fly into a rage and then be mocked by Mia, I felt surprisingly calm. Looking at Ethan, I gently raised the wine glass in my hand. "Have fun." After draining the wine in the glass in one gulp, I stood up and left without looking back. Hey, it was just a joke. Why are you getting angry?" Ethan pretended to want to keep me, but Mia said indifferently, "He can't even take a joke." What a buzzkill. Was this a joke? I didn't understand her definition of a joke, but it didn't matter anymore. As soon as I went out, a friend sent me a message. "Lucas, the guys are going to sing karaoke tonight. Come along." After asking for the address, I drove there. When I arrived at the location, my friends greeted me warmly. I poured a glass of wine and drank it up in one go. My friend teased, "Lucas, aren't you afraid of your wife checking up on you today?" The henpecked husband isn't afraid of his wife anymore. Is the sun rising in the west? In the face of everyone's teasing, I wasn't angry. Instead, I just laughed it off. I picked up the microphone and started howling with them. Time passed quickly, and before I knew it, it was already 12 o'clock. The phone in my pocket vibrated. It was a message from Mia. "What time is it? You don't care about home anymore, do you?" The tone was full of blame and accusation. I turned off the screen and ignored it completely. At this moment, I just wanted to briefly get Mia out of my mind. Just then, my brother sat beside me. He was my friend and also my boss. "Lucas, the business at the branch office is doing really well. Are you really not going to give it a try? You're a talented person. It's such a pity to be buried like this." It wasn't the first time he had asked me to take up a position at the branch office. He always thought that I should have a bigger stage. Since the establishment of the branch office, he had always wanted me to be in charge. There was also another reason. The location of the branch office was my hometown. But for Mia's sake, I had refused again and again. As a man, I couldn't abandon my wife. But at this moment, whenever I thought of Mia, all I could think of was that piece of sexy lingerie. Ethan said he bought it according to Mia's size. And Mia not only didn't refuse it, but she was also full of tenderness. They seemed to be the most suitable couple. It seemed that I, an outsider, should leave. I picked up my glass, clinked it with my brother's, and then drank it up in one gulp. "I'll go," I said. "Great, you finally see the light." My brother took a sip of the wine in his glass with a smile and patted me on the shoulder. "Okay, make the arrangements. Get ready. It'll take at most 3 days." I nodded. Suddenly, I felt a pang of discomfort in my chest, so I got up and planned to go to the bathroom to wash my face. As soon as I came out of the bathroom, I saw Mia in the corridor, looking furious. "Lucas, look at what time it is now. Aren't you going home yet? You didn't even reply to my message. What on earth do you want to do?" I looked at her coldly, took a deep breath, and forcefully suppressed the emotions in my eyes. "You do your thing, and I'll do mine. Is there a problem with that?" We had been married for 3 years, and she had never allowed me to interfere too much in her life, especially after Ethan came back. She had been coming home later and later at night, every time I worried and sent her a message. She not only ignored it, but afterward, she would also blame me, saying that I was too strict with her and making her feel suffocated. "Do you know that today is our wedding anniversary? You left me, and came here to drink on your own. Did you deliberately want to embarrass me?" Mia's beautiful eyes glared at me, and a stream of accusations rained down on me. "Ethan rarely comes back to the country. He just gave me a little gift. Is it worth you holding on to this?" Was I holding on to it? A bitter feeling welled up in my heart. So she knew that today was our wedding anniversary. I had prepared a gift a long time in advance and reserved a high-end restaurant. But when she heard that Ethan was back in the country, she didn't hesitate to change our anniversary into a group gathering, and she was flirting with Ethan at the gathering. She didn't consider my feelings at all. What right did she have to question me now? Go home, stop hanging out with your so-called friends. With that, regardless of my opposition, Mia pulled me towards the car. Because of the effect of the alcohol, my head was very dizzy, and I could only let her drag me forward. But just as we reached the door, Mia's phone in her pocket suddenly rang. She answered it. I didn't know what was said on the other end, but her face became tense. Ethan, I told why. Oh, he has a stomach problem. Did you guys force him to drink? I'll come right away. Wait for me. Mia hung up the phone and immediately let go of the arm that was holding me. Ethan isn't feeling well. I have to take him to the hospital. You can take a taxi home by yourself. I looked at the empty street and remained silent. She was a bit impatient. Can't you stop playing dumb every time I ask you to do something? I really hate it when you're like this. I pressed my throbbing temple, picked up my coat, and walked slowly towards the end of the street. From beginning to end, I didn't even give her a single glance. You'd better go home. Otherwise, we'll get a divorce. Mia left a harsh threat and then quickly got in the car and drove away without the slightest hesitation. I walked alone in the cold night. It was very cold, but my heart was even more tired. Once again, Mia chose to abandon me for Ethan's sake. When I got home, I felt extremely exhausted and fell onto the bed, sleeping soundly. The next morning, I was woken up by Mia. What time is it? Why haven't you gotten up to make breakfast yet? Mia seemed to have just gotten home. She hadn't even had time to change her clothes, and there was a smell of alcohol on her. At the moment, she was standing by the bed, her eyes full of dissatisfaction. I rubbed my forehead and replied impatiently, I drank too much yesterday. I have a headache. You can go buy something to eat yourself. Mia's eyebrows furrowed in anger, and she seemed very dissatisfied. She was very picky about food and couldn't eat ordinary breakfast at all, which also made her stomach not very good. After we got together, I tried my best to learn all kinds of nutritious meals and tried to cook the food to her taste. This was how she developed the habit of eating regularly. But now, it seemed that she took my efforts for granted. She wouldn't sweetly thank me when I served her the carefully prepared breakfast. But as long as I neglected her once, what awaited me would definitely be her accusations and complaints. You can't even make breakfast properly. What else can you do? I turned over and ignored her. She snorted angrily twice, turned around, and left, calling me a useless waste, and stormed out. She didn't notice my emotions at all, but strangely, there wasn't the slightest bit of sadness in my heart. Instead, I felt a bit relieved. It seemed that I had gotten used to it. After she left, I went to the company because I was going to take over the branch office. I started to get busy with work. This also made me forget about Mia for a while. After work, I remembered that I still had a gym membership card. Since I was leaving anyway, I planned to return the remaining courses. But as soon as I arrived at the gym, I noticed two familiar figures in the corner. Mia was wearing a sports vest and yoga pants. The tight clothes wrapped her figure, showing off her curves. Her skin was a delicate red, and there was a little sweat on her body, making her look a bit glistening. Behind her, Ethan pressed closely against her back. He held her slender waist. It seemed that he was guiding her movements, but anyone with discerning eyes could tell at a glance that their relationship was not normal. However, Mia not only didn't care, but instead smiled, her eyes and eyebrows curved, her face full of affection. The two of them were doing the movements absent-mindedly. Ethan would occasionally pat Mia, but gently, and the latter would have a shy smile on her face. I had imagined this scene and thought that I would be angry and furious when I saw it. But at this moment, my heart was completely calm. I walked to the front desk and handled the refund on my own. I planned to leave quietly, but unexpectedly, Ethan was sharped and noticed me. Yo, Lucas is also trying to work out like others. I turned around. Mia and Ethan had already walked up to me. They stood together, looking like a perfect couple. While affectionately wiping the sweat from Mia's neck, Ethan greeted me with a smile. Mia, however, furrowed her brows and looked at me with suspicion in her eyes. What are you doing here? I stared at her steadily and said in a flat tone, You got this membership card for me and told me to come and work out more when I had time. Mia was taken aback, and a trace of embarrassment appeared on her face. Seeing this, Ethan naturally put his arm around Mia's shoulder and gave me a triumphant smile. Lucas, you'd better not waste your time. Coincidentally, Mia and I have just finished our workout. Why don't we go back together? He deliberately emphasized the word MIA as if this could show their intimacy, and Mia didn't stop his action. Instead, she adjusted her posture to make it more comfortable for him to hold her. Looking at the intimate appearance of the two of them, I didn't react at all and nodded. Then let's go together. Ethan seemed not to have expected my reaction, and a hint of venom flashed in his eyes, but soon he regained his smile. Okay, let's go then. When we arrived at the parking lot, Ethan naturally took out the car keys and got into the car. I was slightly taken aback. Isn't this my car? Where did he get the keys? Ethan gave me a triumphant smile. Sorry, Lucas. I said I like driving, so Mia lent me this car. I'm already used to driving it. Just sit back and relax. Mia opened the passenger door and got in, moving very skillfully. Seeing that I was still standing there in a daze, she urged me impatiently, "Get in the car quickly. You live so close to the company. What do you need a car for?" I opened the car door and sat in the back seat, feeling only tired in my heart. I didn't want to get into too much entanglement with her. On the way home, Mia and Ethan chatted enthusiastically. I sat quietly in the back seat listening, but my thoughts involuntarily drifted back to the past. Mia and I met in college. During the summer vacation that year, several of us college students went on a self-driving camping trip. After a day of playing, everyone was extremely tired. It was already late when we were on our ... Way back, I was driving, and Mia naturally sat in the passenger seat. I could see her out of the corner of my eye. Her beautiful profile flickered. In the dim light on the night road, her lazy expression was very alluring, and there was a faint smile on her lips. My heart couldn't help but beat faster. At that time, I began to pay attention to her deliberately. Time has passed. She was still sitting in the passenger seat, but it wasn't my passenger seat anymore. Just as Mia stretched, I noticed that the wedding ring on her hand had been taken off at some point. It was replaced with an extremely ordinary silver ring. Ethan was also wearing a ring on his hand. Just one glance was enough for me to confirm that they were wearing a matching pair. My heart grew colder once again. After Ethan arrived home, Mia even got out of the car specifically to hug him. Only after the two of them reluctantly said goodbye did Mia get back into the car. From that moment on, the atmosphere in the car became quiet. It seemed that there was no common topic between us anymore. When we got home, I went straight into the study and checked the future work content. I was deliberately avoiding being alone with Mia, but she didn't have the slightest ability to read the situation. "Where's the anniversary gift?" Mia pushed the door open and came in, standing in front of me and stretching out her hand. Her tone was full of accusation. It seemed that she thought it was only natural for me to give her a gift. It was no wonder. On all kinds of special days in the past, I would carefully prepare gifts. But when she abandoned me and ran towards Ethan, that gift was thrown into the trash can by me. "I didn't prepare a gift," I said calmly. Mia's face became a bit unhappy. "Why? Could it be that you're angry with me because of Ethan?" "No, I still have some work to finish. You can go out first." I shook my head indifferently. A trace of anger appeared on Mia's face, but she didn't say anything. Just when she left, it seemed that she slammed the door shut with all her strength. After she left, I took out my phone and contacted a lawyer, entrusting him to draw up a divorce agreement for me. I didn't want to hold on to this deteriorated relationship any longer. Mia didn't come home all night again. The next day, when I was at work in the company, she sent me a message asking me to meet her at a restaurant after work. I wanted to refuse at first, but when I got off work, she was blocking the entrance of the company. "Honey, I know I made you unhappy. I specially reserved your favorite restaurant. Consider it as my apology to you." Mia had a smile on her face. It seemed that she had deliberately dressed up and put on very delicate makeup. My heart skipped a beat, thinking that she was sincerely apologizing to me. But when we arrived at the restaurant, a familiar figure walked towards us. "Over here." Like a young girl, Mia opened her arms and ran quickly to Ethan's side. Ethan hugged her in his arms, and his triumphant gaze was not hidden at all. I instantly felt like a clown. I turned around and was about to walk out when Mia quickly ran over and grabbed my sleeve, looking very dissatisfied. "Why are you showing that attitude again? Didn't we agree to have dinner together?" I looked at her and said, "Seriously, Mia, if you want to be with your lover, I don't mind at all. I just hope that you don't drag me along anymore. I don't want to be a tool for your flirting." Mia's face instantly turned red, and anger welled up in her eyes. "Lucas, how can you have such a dirty mind? I called you here today because I wanted you two to ease your relationship. You still have the nerve to show that attitude. Who do you think you are?" I calmly glanced at her, sneered, and turned to leave. On the way home, I received a message from Ethan, which was a picture. Mia was leaning against his arms, her eyes slightly red, as if she had just cried. "It's not that I'm criticizing you, buddy. Is it really necessary for you to get so angry? She's a good woman. If you don't cherish her, there are plenty of people who will." After thinking for a while, I sent a message back. "Okay, I wish you all the best." When I got home, I opened a bottle of wine on my own. Looking at the moonlight outside the window, I began to recall the past again. After that camping trip, I started to get closer to Mia. She had a humorous, cheerful, and lively personality. She not only had an extremely strong vitality, but also was extremely sincere to everyone. After continuous contact, the two of us successfully started dating. I knew that Mia had had a deep and passionate love affair before, but I thought that I could move her with my sincerity. After all, it was me who was by her side now. But the truth proved that everything was just my wishful thinking. I opened my phone and saw Ethan's WeChat moments. In the camera, Mia was beaming with a twinkle. In her eyes, She and Ethan had gone to the places where they had been in love before, the bookstore and cafe they used to frequent, and the park that held their beautiful memories, reliving the wonderful past. Young love was so passionate and memorable. I smiled bitterly, but my heart was already numb. Mia and Ethan had left deep marks on each other's youth. It wasn't something that an outsider like me could just barge into. I gave it a thumbs up and then blocked and deleted Ethan's WeChat. Maybe it was because of the cold wind in the middle of the night, but I felt extremely hot all over my body, and my head was also very dizzy. In a half-asleep and half-awake state, I felt a pair of gentle hands holding me up to drink water and feeding me medicine. They also brought a towel and placed it on my forehead. I smelled a faint fragrance. It was the scent of a perfume that Mia often used. I couldn't help but want to get closer, but I was pushed away by her. When I woke up in the morning, I was surprised to find that Mia was sound asleep by my bedside. The sunlight shone through the window and fell on her serene face. I was so mesmerized that I stared at her for a while. While hearing the movement, she slowly opened her eyes. When she saw me, concern showed in her eyes. "You're awake, honey. How do you feel? Are you feeling better?" I nodded gently. "That's good. You scared me. You had a really high fever last night." She smiled, and for a moment, I thought we had gone back to the past, to the time when we had just gotten married. At that time, when I was sick, she would take great care of me by my side. Thinking of these things, my heart, which had already been completely chilled, actually showed signs of gradually thawing. Could it be that I really misjudged her? Just as I was about to say something to her, her phone rang inopportunely. "Shoo, don't say anything for now." Mia motioned for me to be quiet and then answered the phone. "Hello, Ethan. The amusement park." "Sure, I didn't have enough fun last time." "You wait, I'll go out right away." My heart, which had just been filled with joy, sank to the bottom again, bit by bit. The smile on her face was so bright, just like the time when we first got together. But now, that smile wasn't for me. Putting down the phone, the smile on Mia's face disappeared. "I'm going out to the amusement park with Ethan. If you're not feeling well, take a leave and rest. I've put the medicine by your bedside. Remember to take it." With that, she was about to get up and leave. A trace of despair welled up in my heart, and instinctively, I grabbed her hand. "Can you not go?" I still held a glimmer of hope for our broken relationship. Mia's face turned cold. "Lucas, I've told you I don't like it when you control me." She forcefully shook off my hand. I took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "If you go, we'll get a divorce." The moment I said it, I regretted it because I knew that she didn't care. Sure enough, upon hearing my words, Mia sneered. "Lucas, did I hear you right? You want to divorce me? Don't forget, you were the one who pestered me to pursue you in the first place. Now you're using divorce to threaten me. Do you want to be like your shameless father, getting a divorce and then crawling back to beg for reconciliation? Stop dreaming. Marriage isn't a bargaining chip for you to threaten me with." I slowly released her hand. I felt as if I had fallen into an ice cellar, and my whole body was icy cold. The unhappiness of my parents' marriage had always been a scar in my heart that I couldn't erase since my childhood. When I told Mia about this matter, she had tears in her eyes and hugged me tightly in her arms. She said that she would never let me experience the kind of unfortunate marriage that my parents had. But now, she was using sharp words to tear open my scar bit by bit. Mia still left without the slightest hesitation. I lay on the bed and slowly closed my eyes. Our 3-year marriage had finally come to an end. After regaining some strength in my body, I got up, packed my luggage, and then went to the law firm to pick up the divorce agreement. After doing all this, I sat on the sofa in the living room and waited for a whole day. When it was dawn, I placed the divorce agreement on the table, picked up my luggage, and left. She could choose to maintain this marriage without dignity, and I could choose to withdraw from it with dignity. Before heading to the airport, I specifically got a new phone card. After telling my colleagues and friends my new contact information, I directly threw the old phone card into the sewer. Since I had decided to break off the relationship, I would do it completely. From today on, I didn't want to have any connection with Mia's life anymore. When I got home, my mother had already prepared a big table of dishes waiting for me. I hadn't seen her for a long time, and her temples had already turned white. I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness in my heart. Over the years, in order to stay by Mia's side, I had hardly ever gone home. I hadn't even noticed that my mother had become so old. I should have realized long ago that because of her unhappy marriage with my father, she needed more family affection from me, her son. But I had ignored her again and again. At the dining table, my mother kept picking food for me and telling me to eat more. But there was a choke in her voice, and her hands were trembling slightly. As soon as I got off the plane, I had told her about Mia and me. My marriage wasn't going well either, and she didn't know how to comfort me. She just silently gave me more love and care. The meal ended quickly. After helping my mother clean up, I got up and went to report to the branch office. After a brief understanding, I realized that my friend had really been doing it for my own good. The business of the company here was exactly what I was best at, and I would have a bigger stage here. Because of the promotion, I also had more time to accompany my mother. In the intense and busy work, I gradually let go of Mia and devoted myself fully to my work. With my all-out efforts, the company received a lot of big orders. The leaders of the board of directors specially approved a large sum of bonus and let us have a party. I finally relaxed for a rare moment. When I got home, it was already late at night. When I reached the door, I saw a dark figure crouching in the corner by the door of my house. Before I could react, the figure seemed to notice me, stood up, and walked towards me briskly. "Lucas, what do you mean? You just left the divorce agreement without saying a word and left. You went out of contact. It was MIA. Her tone was anxious and angry, but after just a few words, the end of her voice began to tremble. Then she suddenly threw herself into my arms, her shoulders trembling slightly, and her voice choked with sobs. "Are you serious about the divorce?" I calmly pushed her away. Her eyes were red and swollen as if she had cried many times. "I'm serious. Once you sign the papers, we'll go get the divorce certificate." Even though I had just had some wine, my mind was very clear at the moment. I knew what I was doing. "I don't agree." Mia became hysterical. "Are you jealous? I told you not. Something happened between me and Ethan. He is indeed my first love, but now I'm your wife, and I will only love you." As she spoke, she began to sob again. But in my opinion, these words were ridiculous. Seeing that I didn't say anything, she started to reflect. "I know I shouldn't have hurt you with the matter of your parents that day. I was just too anxious at that time. Honey, please forgive me. We've been together for so many years. Do you really have the heart to just let it go?" She started to apologize continuously, hoping to get my forgiveness. In the past, even if she just bowed her head a little bit, I would have forgiven her without hesitation. But now, there was no ripple in my heart at all. She had taught me a lesson. Those who are closest to you are often the ones who hurt you the most. The reason why she was so unbridled was precisely because she thought I couldn't leave her, right? She knew that I loved her deeply, so she could mix with her ex without any scruples. She could even hurt me without mercy. But she never thought, what if I didn't love her anymore? I pushed her away, went back home on my own, and closed the door. On her, I knew very well that we could never go back. The next morning, my mother woke me up. She told me that Mia had been waiting outside the door all night. She asked me if I wanted to let her in. I shook my head and asked my mother to persuade her to go back. Then I got up and went to work. At the door, Mia still tried to say something to me, but I just chose to ignore her. I thought Mia would give up, but when I got home in the afternoon, I found that she was already sitting on the sofa in my house. When she saw me, she quickly stood up. "Lucas, you're back. Wash your hands and get ready for dinner. Your mom and I specifically went to the vegetable market and bought a lot of your favorite dishes." I didn't reply and looked at my mother beside her. She lowered her head, looking a bit uneasy. "Mia begged me for a long time. I think that you two, as a married couple after all these years, there's nothing you can't talk about openly. There's no need to ... I shook my head. "Mom, it's impossible for me and her." I knew my mother meant well, but she didn't know that Mia had made the same mistake as my father. Mia's eyes were slightly red, and she looked at me nervously, her eyes full of pleading. I said coldly, "Mia, stop harassing me. I don't want to have any relationship with you. If you really care about our past feelings, sign the divorce agreement." With that, I directly pushed her out of the house, and warned my mother repeatedly not to open the door for her. I thought she would give up like this, but she actually rented a house near my home. I almost forgot that she was a very stubborn person. I had liked her in the first place because of her seriousness and persistence in dealing with things, but I didn't expect that the virtues I had liked in the past now made me feel troubled. She started to appear in my life frequently. When I went out in the morning, she would bring the breakfast she prepared herself. Even if I threw it into the trash can right in front of her, she still didn't give up. After work, she would wait at the entrance of the company with a bouquet of flowers. She would stuff the flowers into my hands with an affectionate look. Of course, in the end, the flowers would also be thrown into the trash can. Late affection is cheaper than grass. When we were in a relationship, I jokingly told her that I also wanted a bouquet of flowers, but she laughed at me, saying that there were no boys who asked for flowers. However, she didn't know that the reason I made such a request was that I saw her old photo album on her phone. On every festival, she would take the initiative to send flowers to Ethan. She had been sending them without fail for many years. Now I don't need flowers anymore. So what's the use of her making that gesture? Soon, my colleagues in the company all learned that I had a woman who loved me deeply. They all made fun of me. They said that I was a happy man. I didn't explain it either. I just smiled and gave the lunch that Mia sent to the company to others. The turning point of the matter came when the headquarters sent a colleague to assist me with my work. When we met, the female colleague was stunned for a moment and then called out my name accurately. "Lucas, is that you?" Lucas. I stared at her for a long time, feeling a bit surprised. It turned out to be my high school classmate, Luna. She Had capable short hair, wore delicate makeup, and had the temperament of a successful career woman. She was completely different from the quiet look in my memory. I never expected to meet you in this situation after so many years. Luna stretched out her hand and shook hands with me generously. I was also very surprised. After going to college, I left my hometown and gradually lost touch with my former classmates. The joy of meeting an old friend was naturally greater than anything else. Let's have dinner together after work. I know a Sichuan restaurant that serves really good food. She tilted her head and winked at me playfully. Okay, I nodded in agreement. After work, the two of us went to the restaurant together. In the restaurant, we had a great conversation. We had a lot of memories of the past, and there was almost no sense of strangeness. When we talked, she was very humorous in her conversation and could always keep the topic going. I felt very relaxed when I was with her. Getting married right after graduation. You were the envy of many old classmates. At the dining table, Luna suddenly smiled and made fun of me. I shook my head with a bitter smile. Don't say that. I'm actually preparing for a divorce now. The smile on her face froze, and the atmosphere became a bit silent. After that, we deliberately avoided this topic. After we finished eating and just stepped out of the door, a dark figure rushed over and pushed Luna beside me hard. So you're the one who deliberately seduced my husband. No wonder he suddenly decided to go back to his hometown and divorce me without any warning. It's all because of you. Mia was like a crazy person, cursing at Luna. People around also started to point at Luna. I supported Luna and then stood in front of her. Mia, you're going too far. She's my high school classmate. Don't just slander others without evidence. Mia stared at me with disbelief in her eyes. You actually yelled at me for this. Show some respect. I scolded her coldly. I'll file for divorce in court tomorrow. Since you don't want to be decent, I'll grant your wish. I said I could let you to be together, but the premise was that you wouldn't pester me. But now it seems that you don't know what's good for you. With that, I pushed her away directly and escorted Luna away. After we got away from the crowd, I smiled apologetically at Luna. I'm sorry you got involved because of me. It's my fault. It's okay. I'm not hurt or anything. You don't have to worry too much. Luna shook her head with a smile, not caring at all. After sending Luna home, I started to prepare the materials for the appeal. The next day, I didn't even go to work. I directly packed my luggage and flew back, and then filed a lawsuit for divorce in court. Thanks to the provocative messages that Ethan sent to me, as well as the moments that the two of them posted without any concealment, all the evidence was in my favor. Although the process was still very troublesome, I finally got the divorce certificate as I wished. When I came out of the court, Mia blocked my way. Her face was pale and her eyes were full of sadness. Lucas, can't we really go back? I nodded. Yes, it's impossible. Don't harass me anymore and don't harass my friends either. Otherwise, I'll send you to the police station directly. After the divorce, I threw myself wholeheartedly into my work. I also became closer to Luna. One day, I was reading materials in the company very late. I thought everyone had left, but Luna suddenly pushed the door open and came in, bringing dinner with her. Haven't you got off work yet? I was a bit surprised. Yes, I still need to sort out the materials for tomorrow's meeting, as she said. That, she handed me a washed strawberry and smiled at me. Can we go home together after work later? Looking into her bright eyes, something in my heart seemed to be touched. On the way home, we chatted casually. Suddenly, she looked at me seriously. You know, actually in high school, you were always the goal I strived for. I looked at her in surprise. The goal you strived for. She nodded, her voice soft, filled with memories of the past. Yes, at that time, your grades were so good, and you had such a cheerful personality. Every time I had something I didn't understand, you would help me solve it. At that time, you were like the sun that illuminated my way forward. So dazzling, so warm, and so exciting. I was shocked. Before, I regarded Mia as the sun in my life. I followed her without hesitation for many years, even if I was bruised all over. But now someone told me that I could also be someone else's son. I just felt my breath quicken and my heart started to beat rapidly. When we arrived downstairs at her house, she looked at me with hope in her eyes. I avoided her gaze, dared not look at her directly, and said in a low voice, "See you tomorrow." Then I was about to turn around and leave, but she suddenly grabbed my collar, stood on tiptoe, and kissed me on the cheek. "See you tomorrow." I knew that I was about to fall for her. Neither Luna nor I mentioned what happened that night, but our relationship became closer and closer, and being together was just a natural development. The scars in my heart from the previous marriage were gradually healed by her. Life got back on track until Ethan appeared in front of me. "How can you have the nerve? Mia has been crying her eyes out for you all day long. Are you even a man?" He blocked my way and roared at me, his eyes full of hatred. I looked at him and couldn't help but sneer. "I don't know. What does this have to do with me? Besides, what right do you have to question me? Didn't you abandon her and leave her alone in the first place? Ethan suddenly clenched his fists tightly, his eyes gloomy. If it weren't for you, Mia wouldn't be ignoring me now. It's all your fault. His emotions became agitated, and he came at me trying to fight. I directly grabbed his hand, but he suddenly took out a knife from his arms. My pupils contracted. I thought I couldn't escape this time, but the next second, Ethan suddenly let out a muffled groan, covering his crotch with a pale face. Then I saw that Luna had appeared behind him at some point. Although there was fear on her face, there was more anger. Assault with a deadly weapon. You're going to prison. After leaving a harsh word, she came to me worriedly, looked me up and down, her eyes full of concern. Are you okay, honey? Hearing the word honey, I suddenly felt an impulse in my heart. I grabbed her hand and blurted out, let's get married. She was stunned, and soon her eyes and eyebrows curved into a smile. Okay. Ethan was taken to the public security organ. There was surveillance at the scene at that time, and the evidence was conclusive, leaving no room for him to deny it. Luna and I also put our wedding on the agenda. I prepared a grand wedding for her. On the wedding day, Mia came uninvited. She had become extremely haggard, and she was completely different from her previous bright and flamboyant self. Lucas, her voice was shaky as she tried to grab my hand. After I dodged her, her eyes became dim, and her tone was full of pleading. Can you not get married? I miss you so much. Can you give me another chance? I looked at her coldly and didn't make any response. She continued talking to herself. I've completely cut off contact with Ethan. The only person I really love is you. Come back to me. Okay, I frowned inside. Mia, people always have to look forward. And I looked at Luna, who was walking towards me, and smiled slightly. I'm very happy now. Please don't come to ruin my mood anymore. Mia's face turned pale. The wedding went smoothly. On the stage, Luna and I exchanged rings. In the audience, Mia left in a daze. After getting married, Luna and I led a plain but happy life. Mia still persistently called me every day, saying that she just wanted to hear my voice. I blocked her number over and over again. Later, I simply stopped answering those unfamiliar numbers. A year later, Luna got pregnant. On the way, I accompanied her to the prenatal checkup. Mia showed up again. With red eyes, she rushed towards Luna, who was heavily pregnant. I immediately stepped in front of her, and the moment she charged over, I kicked her down to the ground. With a sudden movement, she wouldn't let it go and roared at me wildly. Why don't we have a child together? But you're going to have a child with another woman. She got up again and tried to attack Luna. I couldn't hold back any longer. I grabbed her collar and slapped her hard twice. Mia, you're really disgusting. Now I pressed her down forcefully, and took out my phone to call the police. You'd better pray that nothing happens to my wife and child. Otherwise, I will definitely make you pay the price. Mia was screaming and hurling all kinds of insults. It was not until the police arrived that she seemed to lose all her strength, and her face turned ashen. When she was being taken into the police car, she looked at me and said in a desolate tone, I regret it, Lucas. I ignored her and helped Luna leave. Evil will be rewarded with evil. When people do something wrong, they have to pay the price. I held Luna in my arms. For the rest of my life, I only hope that my family will be safe and sound.